Now, before we start learning, we're going to need to install Flutter on our machine, as well as some of the other tools that we'll be building with. Now, there's something that I wanted to mention right away because it's something important that you should know. If you want to develop apps for the iOS App Store, you will kind of need a Mac computer. Notice that I said kind of. There are ways around it. You can connect to a virtual Mac computer. There's even some services like CodeMagic that allow you to do that. So it is possible and there are ways around it. It's just a little bit more challenging. And this is for that very specific case of owning a Windows computer but wanting to make iOS apps. You can still definitely build and release Flutter apps to other platforms like Android, and since it's all the same code base, it's the same code. So if you have Windows, don't be discouraged. You're still building the same applications, just test it and run it on your Android app. And then when you're ready to release it to iOS App Store, maybe you can borrow someone's computer or use a virtual Mac. I added some links below to guide you if this is your situation. Now, having a Mac, it allows you to release apps to both Android and the iOS store. And that is the device I have, so we're going to be installing on my Mac computer, and I'll also add some links below to some other platforms if you need help with that. So hopefully this first thing won't come as too big of a surprise, but we're going to need to install Flutter. And since we're going to be building apps for both the Android and the iOS store, we're going to need to install Android Studio. And for the iOS part, we're going to need to install Xcode. Now we need both of these because they have the underlying architecture to help you debug and build these iOS and Android applications. And in general, the connections from Flutter to the specific platform. And you can even use Android Studio to write your Flutter application code directly in there. But I personally prefer VS Code, so we're going to be installing that as well. The reason I like VS Code is because it uses less resources on your computer. It's a little more lightweight, and you can make it look a little pretty. So these are the tools we're going to need to install. Now let's get to putting them onto our machine.